Hi, this is Scott Rogers with Funkhauser Real Estate Group. I just published my monthly market analysis, which takes a look at our local housing market. And overall, there were some very positive trends that took place during June 2016. When we start with the number of home sales in June, there were 144 home sales. This is compared to 134 last year, so a significant improvement, 7.5% improvement. And when we then look at the year to date, we're now halfway through the year, so we have 6 months of data to work with. There have been 598 home sales so far this year in Harrisonburg and Rockingham County, which is compared to only 527 last year. So that's a 13% improvement in the market activity here in the residential market in our area. If we look at pricing, there has not been as much of an improvement in pricing as there has been in the pace of sales. So the median sales price last year during the first 6 months of the year was $189,000. And in the first 6 months of this year, it is $190,500. So just about a level median sales price, even though we have seen a significant 13% increase in the number of homes that are selling in the first half of the year. The last main metric that I look at is the time that it takes to sell a home. And there has been a 14% improvement in that metric. Homes are selling in a median of 53 days as compared to 62 days last year. Looking at a month-by-month analysis, things have been rather exciting for several months now. There were 144 home sales in June and 133 in May, and both of those were well far and above the previous May and June of last year. Looking forward, July will certainly be an interesting month. Last year, July home sales dropped significantly from 134 home sales down to 108 home sales. So it will be interesting to see whether we see that same dynamic this year or whether we continue to see strong growth as we continue through the summer months. Again, halfway through the year is a good time to check in. If we look at last year as a whole, there were 1,125 home sales. When we look at the first 6 months of this year, there have been 598. So we may be on track to see around 1,200 home sales this year, which would be a significant improvement in the overall pace of residential sales in our market. I think most buyers and sellers are experiencing this. Homes are selling more quickly and more homes are selling as compared to the same time last year. When we look at long-term ongoing trends, it's been a steady increase to this pace of around 1,200 home sales per year. So 2 years ago, there were around 1,000 home sales a year, and 1 year ago, it was around 1,150, and now we're right around that 1,200 home sales a year mark. So a slow and steady improvement. When it comes to pricing, 2 years ago, we were around $175,000 for a median sales price, and then over a 1 year period, that slowly inched up to $185,000. And we've stuck around there for the past year. So for almost 12 months now, we've been hovering around $185,000 or $186,000 as a median sales price. So while it is exciting to see increases in how many homes are selling, I think certainly some homeowners wish that we would also continue to see some increases in price. And while we've seen stable median sales prices over the past 12 months, we have not seen significant improvements in those prices. When we break it down between single-family homes and townhomes and duplexes, we see much of the same. However, prices are actually improving more on the single-family home side of things. So 2 years ago, the median sales price of a single-family home in Harrisonburg and Rockingham County was $190,000. Last year, it was $200,000, and this year so far, it's $210,000. So for owners of single-family homes, they have been enjoying some appreciation of their homes, some increases in those home values. It has really been the townhouse, duplex, condo category where we have not seen as much improvement from a price perspective. In that attached category, townhomes, duplexes, condos, we've seen a median sales price hovering right around $151,000, $152,000 for 3 years straight now. So that's where we're not seeing as much of the improvement. Most housing market analysts consider a 6-month supply of homes to be a balanced market. That is to say that if you look at how many buyers buy a home in a 6-month period, on average through the year, if you have that many homes for sale, then it's said to be a balance between sellers and buyers in the local market. Well, we've come a long way, but we seem to have finally reached that point now, this month. So 3 years ago and 2 years ago, there were significantly more homes on the market than needed to be on the market based on how many buyers were buying. And that gap has slowly but surely closed. And this month, in June, so we're in July 2016 now, but looking at June 2016 numbers is when those two lines crossed. So there were 598 buyers that had bought in a 6-month period, and there were only 592 homes for sale. So overall, we're seeing in our market a very balanced market between buyers and sellers. However, that does differ by location and by price range. So it's important to take a look at the local market in your neighborhood or the type of property that you own as well. A few other points. I also track what the median list price to sales price ratio is doing in our market. So essentially how much a seller has to negotiate off of their last list price. And after quite a few years, 3 years, of that metric hovering around 97%, so home sellers were getting a median of 97% of their last list price, that has bumped up to 98% now. So sellers are negotiating, we'll say 1/3 less off of their, that's 1%, off of the sales price of their list price of their home. Bear in mind that is the last list price. So it's not based on the first list price. If they have to make a price reduction to get to the point where they have an offer that they can successfully negotiate, that 98% is comparing the final sales price to the final list price. When we look at contract activity last month, it was a strong month for contract activity. We've actually had 4 very strong months of contract activity. So over the last 4 months, we've seen an average of 140 contracts per month, whereas a year ago, we were seeing an average of 116 contracts per month. So a strong month of contracts in June, as well as March, April, and May preceding, which does bode well for July and August closings. Last year, as I mentioned, July closings declined quite a bit after a strong June. I don't think that we'll see that this year, but we'll have to wait and see. One of the things that has helped us get to the point of having a balanced market is a decline in inventory. So not only are we seeing more buyers buying homes, but we are clearly also seeing more sellers, fewer sellers that are having their houses on the market to sell. So we've seen a 13% decline in the number of homes for sale over the past year. 1 year ago, there were 653 homes for sale, and now there are 568 homes for sale. So on the positive side, that has helped us to reach more of a balanced market where sellers can be more certain about what they will be able to sell their home for in the current market. On the flip side, for buyers, it is not as wonderful. They have fewer choices as far as homes. In many price ranges, homes are selling quickly, and they don't have as much of a negotiating ability, as we've mentioned from several metrics perspective during this report. You can find out much more about our local housing market online at harrisonburghousingmarket.com. I have the full report up there for you to download, read through. If you have questions about it, let me know. I encourage all of my clients to be students of the housing market. So whether you're buying a home or selling a home, understand what's going on in the local housing market. First, overall, generally in our market, and then second, in your segment of the market, whether that's your neighborhood, your price range, based on the location of your home, etc. But understand the market dynamics, because those will affect you whether you're selling your property or whether you are purchasing a property. Again, Scott Rogers with Funkhauser Real Estate Group, and you can find my full market report at harrisonburghousingmarket.com. Thank you.